Rain fell like a curtain of tears, but nothing could wash away the pain I felt that day. My name is Sarah Thompson, and I was standing in a Miami, Florida cemetery, saying goodbye to the love of my life, my husband, Michael. He was taken from me so suddenly in a car accident that shattered my heart into a million pieces. But what happened during his funeral was something I never could have imagined. A stranger, a woman I'd never seen, stepped forward to tear apart everything I had left. It was a gray, heavy morning, the kind that feels like it's pressing down on you. I stood by Michael's casket, clutching a bouquet of white lilies, his favorite flowers. My voice shook as I tried to read the eulogy I'd written through tears the night before. Michael was my rock, I said, looking at the familiar faces around me, friends, cousins, co-workers from our small consulting business. He taught me that love is in the little things, like the coffee he'd leave brewing for me every morning. My throat tightened, but I pushed through, because those words were all I had to honor him. Then, a murmur cut through the silence. I glanced over and saw a woman striding toward us, her high heels clicking on the wet pavement. She was tall, with long, wavy black hair cascading over her shoulders, dressed in a sleek black suit that looked too expensive for a funeral. Her dark brown eyes locked onto mine with a chilling intensity. Before I could process it, she stopped in front of everyone and spoke, her voice sharp and deliberate. "I'm Jessica Carter. I was Michael Thompson's mistress, and I'm here to claim what's rightfully mine." The world froze. The lilies slipped from my hands, landing in the grass. Whispers erupted around me, and I felt every eye turn to me, some with pity, others with curiosity. Jessica raised a document, waving it like a weapon. "This is Michael's will," she declared. "He left me the house, the investments, the business, everything, because I was the one he truly loved." Each word hit like a punch, stealing my breath. My husband, the man I'd shared 12 years with, had a mistress? He betrayed me? And now, at his funeral, I was losing everything? I tried to speak, but my voice failed. Jessica looked at me with a smug smile, as if savoring my defeat. "I'm sorry, Sarah," she said, her tone dripping with fake sympathy, "but the truth always comes out." She turned and walked away, leaving me humiliated in front of everyone. My friend Emily, the only one who rushed to my side, held my arm as I stumbled. "Sarah, breathe," she whispered. But how could I breathe when my world was collapsing? As the rain soaked my face, blending with my tears, a memory flashed in my mind. Months ago, Michael pulled me into a hug and said, with a serious look, "Sarah, if anything happens to me, remember to protect what's ours." At the time, I thought it was just a sweet sentiment. But now, with his words echoing, I started to wonder, what if he knew something? What if there was more to this story? If this story's hitting you hard already, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It means the world to us and helps us keep sharing stories like this one. I was broken, but something inside me refused to give up. Who was Jessica Carter, really? And what did Michael mean by protect what's ours? I didn't know yet, but one thing was clear. This wasn't the end of my story. I never thought a single day could unravel everything I believed about my life. After the funeral, I left the cemetery with Jessica Carter's words ringing in my ears. I was Michael's mistress. He loved me. How could this be? Michael, the man who held me every night, who laughed at my bad jokes, who promised we'd grow old together. Had he been living a double life? I'm Sarah Thompson, and I was now alone, heartbroken, and humiliated, while everyone around me whispered about my shame. Back at our Miami home, the silence was deafening. The living room, where Michael and I used to plan our future, felt like a museum of broken memories. I sank to the floor, surrounded by our photos, our beach wedding, our Key West vacation, the day we launched our consulting business. Each picture was a reminder of what I thought we had. I picked up a photo of Michael, his blue eyes sparkling, that faint scar on his forehead from a childhood bike crash. "How could you do this to me, Michael?" I whispered, tears streaming down my blonde hair, now a tangled mess. But deep down, something didn't add up. Jessica, with her cold stare and that document, seemed too calculated. And then, Michael's voice came back to me. "Protect what's ours." What did he mean? I was drowning in questions when the doorbell rang. It was Emily Davis, my childhood friend, the only one who didn't look at me with pity at the funeral. With her short, curly hair and warm brown eyes, she walked in like a ray of sunshine in my storm. "Sarah, you're not going through this alone," she said, pulling me into a hug. I collapsed on the couch with her, pouring out my heart between sobs. I told her everything: Jessica's interruption, the will, the humiliation. Emily listened quietly, but with a strength that made me feel less broken. "That woman's lying," she said firmly. "Michael would never do this to you. We're going to find the truth." Her words lit a spark in me. I couldn't just sit there. I started rifling through Michael's things, as if searching for a piece of him that could explain it all. I opened drawers, sifted through papers, until I found something tucked behind a shoebox in his closet. A small silver key with a note attached. "For emergencies, Sarah," it read. My heart raced. Emily, by my side, grabbed my hand. "What's that?" she asked. "I don't know," I said, "but it feels like Michael's trying to tell me something." We followed the clue to his home office, a cluttered room where he spent late nights working. After searching, we found a small safe hidden behind a framed photo of our first trip together. With trembling hands, I turned the key. Inside was a handwritten letter in Michael's familiar scrawl. My breath caught as I read the first lines. "Sarah, if you're reading this, something went wrong. Jessica Carter isn't who she claims to be. She tried to manipulate me, but I never loved her. You're my everything. Go to Robert Miller, our lawyer. He has the real will, the one that protects you." I froze, Michael's words burning in my eyes. He didn't betray me. Jessica was the liar. But why would she do this? And how did Michael know she'd try something? Emily put her hand on my shoulder. "Sarah, this changes everything," she said. "You've got a chance to fight." For the first time since the funeral, I felt a glimmer of hope. But I also felt anger. Jessica thought she could destroy me, but I wasn't going down without a fight. As I clutched the letter, one question consumed me. What else was Jessica hiding? And what had Michael left with Robert to save me? Michael's letter was like a lifeline in the storm that had become my life. His words, written in that steady handwriting I knew so well, said he never betrayed me, that Jessica Carter was a liar. But knowing that didn't erase the pain of what happened at the funeral. I'm Sarah Thompson, and I could still feel the pitying stares, Jessica's smug smile as she waved that fake will. But now, holding the letter, I felt something new, a spark of determination. I wasn't going to let that woman steal everything Michael and I built, not without a fight. The next morning, with Miami's sun streaming through the curtains, Emily and I sat at my kitchen table, the letter open between us. "You need to talk to this Robert Miller guy," Emily said, her brown eyes blazing with conviction. She was right. The letter pointed to Robert, Michael's trusted lawyer, who held the real will. I picked up the phone, my hand still shaky, and scheduled a meeting for that afternoon. "You coming with me?" I asked Emily. "Do you even need to ask?" she replied, flashing that smile that always made me feel I wasn't alone. Robert Miller's office was in a modest downtown Miami building, palm trees swaying outside. When we walked in, Robert greeted us with a firm handshake. He was 52, with light brown skin, neatly trimmed gray hair, and wire-rimmed glasses that gave him a wise, steady look. "Sarah, I was expecting your call," he said, his voice calm against my racing heart. We sat in his office, and I handed him Michael's letter. He read it silently, his green eyes showing empathy. "Michael warned me Jessica might try something," he said. 3 months ago, he came to me and filed a legal will, protecting the inheritance as separate property under Florida law. The house, the investments, the business. It's all in your name, Sarah. And there's more. A $1 million life insurance policy, with you as the beneficiary. I could hardly believe it. Michael had thought of everything. The inheritance, from his parents, was never mixed with our marital assets, making it untouchable by any fake will. But Jessica's document was convincing enough to fool everyone at the funeral. How did she pull this off? I asked, anger rising in my voice. Robert adjusted his glasses. That's what we need to prove. Her will won't hold up in court if we have evidence of fraud. That's when Emily had a stroke of genius. We need someone to dig into Jessica, she said. Robert nodded and recommended a private investigator, Daniel Cruz, a former cop who'd worked with him before. That afternoon, we met Daniel at a beachside cafe. He was middle-aged, no nonsense, with a notebook full of scribbles. Tell me everything you know about Jessica Carter, he said. I spilled it all, the funeral, the will, her arrogance. Daniel jotted it down and promised to dig deep, emails, texts, financial records, anything to prove she was lying. In the meantime, I decided to play Jessica's game. I needed her to think I was defeated, that I had no fight left. So, I avoided social events, let my phone pile up with unread messages, and even let relatives call with advice to accept Jessica's will. Every pitying word stung, but I kept Michael's letter close, a reminder that the truth was on my side. Every night, I reread his words. You're my everything. It gave me strength to keep going. Daniel worked fast. Within days, he called with a breakthrough. Jessica paid $5,000 to a notary named Victor Lopez to forge Michael's signature. We've got bank records and text messages between them. My heart pounded. This was the proof we needed. And there's more, Daniel said. She tried to delete emails where she planned the scam with a friend, but we recovered some. She wrote, "Once I have the business, no one will care about Sarah." She planned this from the start. I closed my eyes, feeling relief and rage. Jessica wasn't just a liar. She was a predator, using Michael's death to destroy me. But she didn't count on his letter or my resolve. As I tucked the letter away, one question burned in my mind. What other secrets was Jessica hiding? And would my evidence be enough to take her down? Every day felt like carrying an invisible weight on my chest. I'm Sarah Thompson, and I knew the truth about Michael was in the letter he left, but that didn't make it easier to stomach the rumors Jessica Carter was spreading across Miami. She was everywhere, spinning her vicious story, that Michael betrayed me, that I was a clueless wife, that she was the woman he truly loved. And the worst part? People believed her. Every condolence message I got, dripping with pity like, "You didn't deserve this, Sarah," was a reminder of the humiliation Jessica inflicted at the funeral. But I had to endure it. To bring her down, I needed her to think she'd already won. Jessica didn't waste time. Emily told me she was schmoozing former clients of our consulting business, bad-mouthing my ability to lead without Michael. She'd show up at trendy Miami cafes, her long black hair gleaming in the sun, wearing designer outfits and that smug smile. "She's saying the business is basically hers already," Emily said, fuming, as we sipped coffee on my porch. "And people are buying it, Sarah. You've got to do something." I knew she was right, but I also knew confronting Jessica now would be a mistake. "Not yet, Em," I said, clutching Michael's letter in my purse. "She'll fall, but on my terms." So I kept up my act of defeat. I skipped social gatherings, let my phone buzz with unanswered texts, and even let distant relatives call to counsel me to accept Jessica's fake will. Each pitying word was like a knife, but I told myself, this is for Michael, for the truth. Behind the scenes, I was working with Daniel Cruz, the investigator Robert recommended. He was relentless, and his updates were like small victories in the darkness. One night, he called while I was staring at an old photo of Michael and me at the beach. "Sarah, we hit the jackpot," he said, his voice urgent. Jessica paid $5,000 to a notary, Victor Lopez, to forge Michael's signature. We've got bank records and texts to prove it. My heart raced. This was it. Daniel explained that Victor, the notary, was in financial trouble and took the bribe, but left a sloppy digital trail. And there's more, he added. Jessica tried to scrub emails where she plotted the scam with a buddy, but we recovered some. She wrote, "When I get the business, Sarah will be forgotten. She planned this from day one." I closed my eyes, feeling a mix of relief and fury. Jessica wasn't just a liar. She was a vulture, preying on Michael's death to ruin me. But she didn't know about the letter or my determination. With the evidence in hand, Robert Miller started preparing for the will's probate hearing, set for the following week. He met me at his office, his navy suit crisp as ever, and we went over every detail. "Sarah, Michael's original will is ironclad," he said, adjusting his glasses. "With this evidence, Jessica doesn't stand a chance, but we keep it quiet until court." I agreed, knowing surprise was our best weapon. I kept up my act, even letting Jessica spot me at a local grocery store, my blonde hair in a messy ponytail, looking like I'd given up. The triumph in her eyes made me want to scream, but I held back. She had no idea what was coming. The hearing was closing in, and the tension was mounting. I spent nights rereading Michael's letter, feeling him with me in every word. "You're my everything," he wrote, and now I was going to honor that. Jessica thought she had me in the palm of her hand, but I was ready to turn the tables. As I slipped the letter back into my purse, ready for the big day, one question gnawed at me. Did Jessica have any more tricks up her sleeve? Or would my trap be enough to bring her down for good? The day of the hearing arrived like a storm I knew I had to face. I'm Sarah Thompson, and I'd spent weeks carrying the weight of humiliation, rumors, and the pain of losing Michael. But now, with his letter tucked in my purse, I felt a strength I didn't know I had. Jessica Carter thought she'd destroyed me at the funeral with her fake will and lies about being my husband's mistress. She thought I was weak, that I'd give up. But today, in a Miami courtroom, she was about to learn she'd underestimated the wrong woman. I woke up that morning with Miami's sun streaming through my window, but my heart was pounding like I was running a race. I put on a simple white blouse and a gray pencil skirt, my blonde hair pulled into a tight bun. I wanted to look calm, but inside, I was ready for battle. Emily Davis, my rock, was by my side as we drove to the courthouse. "You're gonna crush it, Sarah," she said, squeezing my hand. "Michael's with you." I nodded, feeling his presence in the letter I carried like a shield. The courthouse was a towering building, with cold hallways and the smell of old paper. When I walked into the courtroom, I saw Jessica sitting across the room, in a sleek black suit, her smug smile intact. Her wavy black hair fell over her shoulders, and she held the fake will like it was a trophy. My stomach churned, but I kept my head high. Robert Miller, our lawyer, stood beside me, his navy suit sharp, his glasses glinting with confidence. "Trust me, Sarah," he whispered. "We've got this." The judge, a stern older man, opened the session. Jessica went first. She stood, her posture a mix of charm and arrogance, and presented her will, claiming it gave her the house, investments, and business. "Michael loved me," she said, her voice rehearsed, dripping with false sincerity. "He wanted me to have everything because Sarah wasn't enough for him." Her words cut deep, and I felt the eyes of everyone in the room, some curious, some judging. But I stayed steady, knowing my moment was coming. Then Robert stood up. With a calm that seemed to defy the chaos, he asked to present Michael's original will. "This document," he said, holding up the authenticated paperwork, "was legally filed 3 months ago under Florida law, naming Sarah Thompson as the sole heir of the inheritance, classified as separate property." He handed the will to the judge, along with the $1 million life insurance policy Michael left for me. Jessica's face tightened, but her smile held. "And there's more, Your Honor," Robert continued. He submitted the evidence Daniel Cruz, our investigator, had gathered. Bank records showing Jessica paid $5,000 to a notary, Victor Lopez, to forge Michael's signature, recovered emails where she plotted the scam, and texts where she bragged, "Sarah won't know what hit her." Robert handed over each piece of evidence, and I watched Jessica's smile crumble. "This is a lie," she shouted, jumping up. But the judge silenced her with a sharp look. As the judge reviewed the evidence, Robert called Victor Lopez to the stand. The notary, sweating and nervous, confessed everything. Jessica pressured him and paid him to fake the will. The courtroom went quiet, and I felt hot tears on my cheeks, not of sadness, but of relief. Michael hadn't betrayed me. He'd protected me, even from beyond. The judge slammed his gavel. "The will presented by Jessica Carter is invalid due to fraud," he declared. "Sarah Thompson is the legal heir, and I'm ordering a criminal investigation into Ms. Carter for forgery." Jessica's face went pale, her brown eyes wide, as bailiffs escorted her out. I looked at Emily, who was grinning through tears, and at Robert, who nodded proudly. I'd won. For Michael. For me. As I left the courtroom, the weight of victory on my shoulders, one question lingered. What would I do now with everything Michael left me? And how could I turn this pain into something bigger? The courtroom victory was like sunlight breaking through clouds after an endless storm. I'm Sarah Thompson, and I walked out of that Miami courthouse with a lighter heart, knowing justice had been served. Jessica Carter, with her lies and fake will, was facing the consequences of her fraud. Michael's inheritance, the house, the investments, the consulting business we built together, was mine, protected as separate property under Florida law. And the $1 million life insurance policy Michael left me was proof of the love he never stopped feeling. But even with the truth restored, the pain of losing him wasn't going away easily. The question now was, what would I do with all this? Back at my house, I sat on the porch with a cup of coffee, watching Miami's skyline where the ocean met the sky. My blonde hair, now loose, swayed in the warm breeze. I thought of Michael, his kind blue eyes, the faint scar on his forehead I always found charming. He was gone, but his letter, which I kept like a treasure, reminded me he always wanted to protect me. "You're my everything," he wrote. And now I wanted to honor that, not with anger or revenge, but with something that mattered. That's when it hit me. Over the next few weeks, I worked with Robert Miller, our lawyer, to use part of the inheritance and insurance money to start a foundation in Michael's memory. I called it the Thompson Hope Foundation, aimed at helping families like mine, hit by financial fraud or sudden loss. I hired a small, dedicated team and leased a modest office in Miami, with big windows that let the sunlight pour in. Every step felt like turning pain into purpose. I wanted Michael's legacy to be about love and support, not Jessica's lies. But there was one person who deserved to be by my side more than anyone. Emily Davis. My childhood friend, with her short curly hair and warm smile, never wavered. When everyone doubted me, when Jessica's rumors made me feel small, Emily was my strength. One day, over coffee at our favorite beachside spot, I took her hand. "Em, I want you to be my partner in the consulting business," I said. "You always believed in me. This is ours now." Her brown eyes filled with tears, and she laughed, trying to play it off. "Sarah, you didn't have to," she said. But she accepted, knowing it was more than a gesture. It was a promise we'd always have each other's backs. Months later, I returned to the cemetery where it all began. The rain was gone, the sky was clear, with Miami's sun shining bright. I stood by Michael's grave, holding a white lily, like I did at his funeral. "You saved me, even from so far away," I whispered, placing the flower on the grass. I cried, but it wasn't just sadness. It was gratitude for the time we had, for the strength he gave me to fight. As I walked away, I felt a peace I hadn't known in months. I wasn't the broken woman from the funeral anymore. I was Sarah, ready for a new beginning. I walked through Miami's streets, the sun warming my face, and I smiled. Life wouldn't be easy, but I knew I could face it. Because in the end, it wasn't about the inheritance or the victory, it was about turning pain into hope, and I was just getting started. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves a good story. And drop a comment with the word justice, along with the city or country you're watching from and what time it is there. I'd love to know how far Sarah's story is reaching. But as I walked under the Miami sun, one thing was clear in my heart. Michael would be proud, and I was ready to write the next chapter of my life.